Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a kind of like a story time type of video. I'm going to be sharing with all of you my entire MILSO or military spouse journey so far. Devin has been in the military a little over 2 years, and so our journey isn't super long so far, but I just thought that I would share our story with you guys. And also, I asked this on Instagram because I was asking for some sit-down video suggestions, so make sure you follow me on Instagram because I'm always asking for suggestions and I'm always doing polls and things like that. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, I always link all of my social media down below. Move! So I did try to film this one other time, but I felt like it was so all over the place, and so I just decided to sit down and film it again because I've already talked through it once, so maybe I'll do better this time. So let's start in 2013 because Devin and I met in 2013, and then in 2014 we started dating, and we dated all throughout high school. And if you guys would like to see like a relationship story, I thought that might be a good video. So I won't get too into that, but in 2015, I think, because that was the year I graduated high school, Devin started talking to a recruiter about joining the Air Force. So long story short, Devin has had some medical issues in the past that we thought would prevent him from being able to join the Air Force. So it was like a very long process of him talking to a recruiter to be able to get approved to join the Air Force. So he went to a recruiter for about a year, and I went with him to all of his appointments, and we kind of just decided if he was gonna join the military, then we were gonna get married. And that's just kind of the decision that we made together because we knew we wanted to be together, and we knew that we were gonna get married in the future anyway, so why suffer, you know, the time before that? So that's just the decision that we made. And I get a lot of questions about how do you tell your family, or how do you ask your family if you can get married, like when you're so young and whatever. And honestly, if you are 18, you are technically an adult and you can make your own decisions. We had been together for a while before we decided to get married, and not all of our family was very supportive. Our parents were supportive, and that's really all that mattered, but we kind of just learned to get over other people's opinions, and now we wouldn't care at all. I don't even know why we cared so much back then, but it's really not anybody else's life but yours, and if you feel that you're ready, then just do it. I mean, it's about your happiness, nobody else's. So we got married in August of 2016, and then in September of 2016 he left for basic. So Devin left for basic, and it was really hard for me at first. I remember the first night I was like so upset. Like I was like inconsolable. I couldn't stop crying. I was very, very upset. And then after that, I actually did really well. I actually have a full video about how to survive BMT as a military spouse. So I will go ahead and link that down below because I go into a lot of detail in that video, and I feel like it's really helpful. But BMT came and went, and I survived that. And then when sorry, I think I need to scoot back a little bit. When we went to his graduation, it was super fun. Devin and I really grew as a couple and matured, I think, when he went through basic, and I think it helped us realize a lot of things and appreciate each other a lot more, and especially Devin. And I think that happens to a lot of guys that go through BMT. It kind of helps them grow up a little bit. And not that Devin was like super immature before he left, but he kind of was. I mean, he was 18, so obviously 18-year-old boys are immature. But I feel like it helped him a lot, like grow up, and it really strengthened our relationship. So we were also newly married, so we were kind of figuring out how to be a married couple, which is a lot different than dating, in my opinion. We quickly realized that we did not want to be separated from each other, which was kind of difficult considering he was going to have a lot of time in tech school coming up. And so he actually found out that he was going to be like in holding from November, which is when he graduated, until January to start tech school. And so that time also didn't count towards his time in tech school. And his first phase of tech school was 5 months. 5 months was not long enough for me to be on his orders to live with him. So technically he was really in his phase 1 of tech school for 7 months, but it didn't really count as 7 months, it only counted as 5 months, which was annoying. So during his basic graduation, we bought plane tickets for me for 2 weeks later to go visit him for Thanksgiving. So we spent a lot of money. You guys, if I could do it over again, we probably would do it differently, but we were just like so in love at the time. I mean, we're in love now, but we were just like so stupid and in love at the time that we were willing to do anything and spend any amount of money to be together. So I think my plane tickets to go see him for Thanksgiving were like $600 and something. It was insane. And he wasn't even allowed to leave the base because he had just gotten to tech school. So it was kind of a silly trip, and we spent so much money on Ubers and eating out and stuff, but you know, it is what it is. So then fast forward to when I visited him for Thanksgiving, we decided that we couldn't wait a month for me to see him again when he came home for Christmas. So we bought plane tickets again for me to fly out 2 weeks after that to stay with him for 10 days before he came home for Christmas. So 2 weeks later, I went down and visited him for 10 days, which he wasn't even able to stay with me. I think he was like a couple of the nights, but I was staying in a hotel for 10 days. And then after those 10 days were up, like the day after I flew home, he flew home for Exodus, which is Christmas break when you're in training. So he flew home for that, and then we kind of got a really big blessing from God, which was I was able to live with a family friend in Texas while Devin was in his phase 1 of tech school, so I could be close to him. This was one of the best things that could have happened to us at the time. His uncle, actually, who is retired Air Force, he messaged Devin just out of the blue and said, hey, I might know somebody that Victoria could live with while you are in tech school. So it was just like complete randomness that I met this woman and her husband, who were both retired military, and it just happened to be that she is the exact same age as my mom, and then her husband is the exact same age as my dad. So they were kind of like my second parents, and I didn't even meet them in person. We were just like texting over the phone, I guess, obviously. And so we like met each other, talked to each other. She happened to have like a spare bedroom in her house that was like a kind of like a mother-in-law suite, I think. And so I had like my own entrance to the house. I had my own bathroom. I had a little kitchenette, and yeah, it was just the perfect situation. So right after Christmas, Devin flew back to Texas and to go back to tech school. My mom drove down with me to Texas. So we drove from Ohio to Texas, which was like 21 hours. Took us a couple days to get there. I had my little red car packed full, like I could barely see out of the back seat when I was driving. I had so many clothes, way more clothes than I needed. I had so much stuff that I did not even need to take, and I was moving down to a place that I had never been with a person that I had never met before. And somehow my parents let me. I don't know, like if I had a daughter, I don't know if I would let her move in with some random strangers, but that is what happened. And so my mom moved down there with me so that she could meet them. And not that like, I didn't have to ask her for permission. Obviously I was a married woman, but I could see their concern as parents. But so she moved down there, or she helped me move down there. She helped me move into their house, and they are like the sweetest people. I'm still like really, really, really close with the woman, and we're friends on Facebook, and like we talk all the time. And so they lived about like 30 minutes from where Devin, not even 30, like more like 20 minutes from the base that Devin had his phase 1 of tech school at. So I was able to live with them, and I got a full-time job. So I worked full-time when I was down there. And then after work, I would drive to the base to visit Devin for an hour or two. And then I would go home, and on weekends, he would get permission to come stay with me. So it was really awesome. It was like the biggest blessing in the world. I can't imagine. And I know a lot of people will have to do it, but I can't imagine like not being able to have lived near him during that part in our life, because it was just really, really, really awesome that we got to be together. So at the end of his phase 1 of tech school, actually Devin was first in his class. He worked really hard, studied every single day, all the time. That's like all he did. And he was first in his class, and so he actually they made like a list. It wasn't his dream sheet, but he got to pick from like 8 bases, and they had them rank them from 1 to 8 where they would like to go. And it actually ended up that Devin got his last pick on the sheet. It was his very last pick. I don't know how that happened. It was kind of just meant to be though, and we know that now. But at the time I was really upset because Devin had worked so hard, and I wanted him to go to a place where he wanted to go. And all of the bases were really good bases. I wasn't really worried about where we would go. As long as I was with him, I didn't really care, and that's how he felt too. But Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is in Ohio, is an hour from home for us. So our whole family is an hour from there, and that is where he got stationed. It was his last pick on the list, and I remember just like crying my eyes out, which sounds so stupid now, but I was just so upset for him that he had worked so hard and he got his last pick on the list, which wasn't really fair, but that's what happened. So we got our stuff and packed it up in my little car, and we drove it all the way back to Ohio. You know how they can't travel more than 500 miles at a time. So it took us like 3 days. Does anybody else's dog do this when they're trying to do something, like won't leave them alone? I mean, really. So we packed up my car and we drove home, and we had family obviously in Ohio to help us move into our house, and so we just got a U-Haul. We took everything from my mom and his mom's house and we moved it up to Dayton, which is where Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is, and we moved it to base housing there. And so it was really fun. We loved living there. We actually would love to go back there someday, and we hope that we do get stationed there again someday. And we made some really great friends. We got connected and plugged into a really great church, and we met some of our best friends there, and we really, really miss it. It hasn't quite been the same since we left, and it was just a real blessing. We know now that living in Dayton was part of God's plan for us, and we don't regret it at all. Give me my shoe. This video is a crap show. Okay, so anyways, so yeah, so Dayton was really fun. We love living there. There's tons to do there. If you have the chance to go to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, I would recommend it highly because there's tons to do. It has all 4 seasons, which I really miss living here in Florida. I really miss the 4 seasons. I'm sweating down here. So yeah, we really enjoyed living there. And like I said, we met some of our best friends, and it was really nice to be close to family for those 9 months, because Devin's phase 1 of tech school was 5 months. His phase 2 in Ohio was 9 months. So if you're curious. So we actually were told that we were supposed to be stationed at Wright-Pat permanently. So we were supposed to stay there after his 9 months were up. And then at kind of, not the last minute, but like soon after we had figured that out, they told us that the lab where he works was overmanned, and so they needed to defer him somewhere else. So he basically was pulled into one of his supervisor's office, and he was number 1 in his class. I cannot keep him out of the, I mean, really. Okay, so where was I? So he was first in his class in his phase 2 of tech school as well. So basically his supervisor pulled him in his office and was like, hey, here's a couple bases, where do you want to go? So pretty much since they got deferred to a different base, he got to pick where he wanted to go. And honestly, do I wish he would have picked somewhere else? Kind of, but I know that you're always meant to be where you are put. We had always kind of wanted to live in Florida and just like try living in Florida. We just thought it would be a fun experience. And this is a place where a lot of our family vacations anyway. So we live near Destin, Florida. We live at Eglin Air Force Base. And this is a place that a lot of our family came to vacation anyway, and so we thought it would be kind of nice. And also Devin's dad lives 6 hours away from here in Florida as well, so we thought it would be kind of neat to live near him for a change. And that's just where Devin picked to go. We didn't really get to talk about it. It kind of just happened one day randomly, and so Devin just made the best decision that he thought was what we wanted, and so he picked Eglin. So we soon after got orders for Eglin last October in 2017, and then we didn't move here until March. So we moved into our house right at the beginning of March, and then 2 weeks later we found this little guy on the internet. Actually, Devin did. This little guy meaning our dog Sherman. And I am allergic to cats and dogs, if you guys didn't know. I don't know if I've really mentioned that before, but that is why we got Sherman, because he is a golden doodle and they are hypoallergenic. So I hope he's not too distracting. I hope you guys can still enjoy this video. Anyways, so we ended up picking up Sherman in Pensacola, which is about an hour from here. And he was so tiny, you guys. Maybe I can see if I can insert some pictures here. Maybe, I don't know, I'll try. I don't really know if I know how to do that, but he was so tiny and cute and fluffy and small. So basically what I'm trying to say is, one day Devin came to me and was like, hey, I found this dog online and I think we should get him. I think, you know, now or never. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I had never really wanted a dog. I grew up without ever having a pet, and I can honestly say Sherman has been one of the biggest blessings in my life. I just love him so much, and I can't imagine ever not having a dog. And I just look forward to being with him if I have a hard day, he makes me feel better, and just being with him, he just makes me feel better, and he protects me, and I just don't know how anybody ever goes without having a dog in their life. So we got him, and he has just been the biggest blessing to me, especially. Sometimes we wonder, like, why did God put us here at this space? Because there's a lot of things about the space that we don't like, Devin especially, and so we are always like kind of questioning ourselves, like, why do we feel like God put us here? And I know that Sherman, as silly as it may sound, is one of the biggest reasons why we are here thus far. So we got Sherman in March, right after we moved here, and then pretty much right after that I got a job as a preschool teacher, and that job was a huge blessing as well. I loved working there, I loved my coworkers, I loved my kids, and I worked there from, I would say, April until September of this year. And in that time I was just working a lot. I was kind of trying to work on my YouTube channel. Everything was kind of running smoothly, and then about, I would say, like a month and a half ago, I decided to go back to school. So being here has really pushed me because I've been away from family. I'm kind of like on my own, doing my own thing, and I really wanted to do something for myself, because I feel like a lot of times as a military spouse, you can quickly get caught up in dedicating everything of your whole life to your spouse, because their career kind of can come first a lot of the time. And so with moving around so much and just a lot of things getting in the way, I just never got to go back to school. So I figured now is the best time, and I just need to do it before, you know, it never happens again. So I decided to go back to school, and I did a whole video about the MyCAA grant. I'll link that down below as well. But that is what I am doing my schooling through. I'm going to dental assisting school, and I eventually would like to go to dental hygiene school. But ultimately my dream job is YouTube. So hopefully I can look back on this video one day and smile, because it will be my job. So yeah, I've been in school for about a month now, and it's going really well. And Devin is on night shift now, which has been a big adjustment. And so I'm really just glad I've been doing something for myself. Going to school and working on my YouTube has been really good for me. And like I said, I've been so focused on Devin and his career that I've kind of forgot about myself. And so it's really important as a military spouse to take care of yourself and do things for yourself. So that's where I am now. I'm really enjoying school, and we're probably gonna be here at this base for a while, definitely for the next 2 years. Or I shouldn't say definitely, because with the military life, as you know, things are never as you think that they're going to be. So I think we're gonna be here for the next 2 years, and then we will see if Devin decides to re-enlist. But that is my military spouse journey so far. I think this video is gonna be super duper long, so hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Devin has not deployed or TDY'd or anything like that yet. I know that he will in the future, but that is not something that we have came across yet. So that's all I have to say so far, I think. If you guys have any more questions or video suggestions about military life, then let me know down below. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe. And like I said, all my social media is always listed down below if you want to follow me. I'm very active on my social medias, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.